crafty friends. I made this layout in April and I'm only just getting around to voicing it now. So forgive me if I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do next because I can't quite remember. This is a just because layout, meaning it wasn't for a design team or to use anything in particular, I was just playing. This stamp set is from W+9 and the date on it is 2013, so it's quite an old one. It's a layering set. First few times you saw my messy bedhead hair as I was trying to get my head over the top to line them up, and I soon realised that actually they don't need to be lined up perfectly. This is just a free and easy layout, and if it's not perfectly lined up it doesn't matter at all. I'm using my little ink cubes from Pinkfresh. I love these inks. I really love these inks. One thing I discovered as I was going on, if you leave the base layer of the layering stamp, if you stamp that and leave them to dry, then stamp the next layer over the top, it gives you a crisper impression. If you stamp it on while the bottom layer is still slightly damp, kind of blends in and gives a subtler effect. So I'm going to put on some music and you can watch me speedily stamping away my cascade of flowers, and I will be back when there's something more to talk about. I've had such a whale of a time with the stamping that I'm thinking at the moment, right, let's try and do a whole layout just stamping. So I've pulled out another W+9 set of stamps and stamped a hello in sticky ink, covered it in silver embossing powder and embossed that. That's done on vellum. I'm going to trim that out and use that as my title, or part of my title. Just marking there where the rest of the title needs to sit, and I'm going to stamp that straight on to the paper. I'm using an anti-static powder tool so that my embossing powder only goes where I want it to go, and stamping down beautiful so it reads as, or will read as, hello beautiful. I'll get that powder put back and melt the beautiful. Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? From watching other people craft, they say if you get your heat tool hot before you take it to the paper, it lessens the warpage. And that did not work for me, and I got quite a lot of warp, but I was stamping on quite thin, I don't think you could call it cardstock really, it is paper. So there is some warp and bend in the page, it's not sitting flat at all now. Popped a couple of layers of tissue behind the photo and popped that in place with some foam pads And now I'm going to glue down my hello. I'm using tiny dots of glue behind the heat embossing, so you won't see the adhesive through. I get a bit radical here. Decide that I want to add something to the page and decide that the thing I'm going to do is chop it. I'm going to chop it up on a diagonal. Then I can add dimension to one side of the page, and yep, there's no going back. I've cut it. It's a bit of a brave move, but I am happy with how it turned out, so I'm pleased that I did it. There's one, oh, hello hoodie. There is one leaf that goes across the cut line, so I'm just using a craft knife to trim around that, and then finishing off that diagonal cut with my scissors, as I need a new blade in my craft knife. So I'm going to back it onto a sheet of peachy orangey paper. I decide actually I prefer the back side, which is a brighter orange. I'm going to have just a little tiny sliver peeking through, that the stronger colour is better. I'm adding foam to the right side, so that will be popped up. This is fairly thin, I think it's 2mm foam, and it'll just give a nice shadow and bit of dimension to the page. Before I adhere the right side onto the page, I've run it through my sewing machine a few times and added some stitching detail. When I place the right hand side down, I'm going to leave maybe 1 millimetre, 2 millimetres of the orange showing. It's subtle, but I like it. Gives a nice, I don't know, quirkiness to the page. Now I'm going to add some sequins. Couldn't quite keep it as just stamping. I needed some sparkle. So I'm picking through and adding a range of different sizes and shapes and colours of sequins, and just going to scatter them throughout this stamping. And there it is, finished. I'm really pleased with how it turned out, and if you're like me and you have a load of stamps and you don't use them often, go and dig them out and play, because it's really good fun. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe and all that jazz, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!